over and over and over about guys about committing. Right, we are going to, as Coach Leach used to say, right, swing our sword. We're going to attack the ball in the air. If we miss it, we'll address why we missed it and we'll move on. But more often than not, right, when that's your approach out of a desire to excel rather than a fear of making a mistake, something good is going to happen. Right, when you're not afraid to put it on the line and go out there. And again, when we make a mistake, right, we're either going to win that rep or we're going to learn from it. This applies to practice, right? This applies to the game. One of the things I hated when I was a player was when I dropped the ball and somebody said, catch the ball. Yeah, that part is understood. Why did I drop it? What can I learn about it going forward to correct that mistake? And then let's move on, right? So a mistake that we make only has value if we learn from it, right? So whether it's a one-on-one rep here in practice, or we get ourselves into a position, okay, we're not in a great position here, right? But the lesson to be learned there is a mistake's not a mistake till the whistle blows. Schengen does a good job here attacking, restacking the defender, drawing him to the numbers, and now we have room to work outside. One thing we say a lot in here is improve your position. You know the escape, there's always an escape. Right, so we don't love the hands-on early, but we also learn from this rep here, right, he ends up winning it because he doesn't give up on it. He fights for the escape, he's violent with his upper body, he stacks a defender. Now again, what it looked like in the beginning is not what the reps look like in the end. Right, so rather than keeping score during the play, I'm worried about what's my counter, how am I going to improve, how am I going to win the rest of this rep. And that's really how we're going to approach everything. Again, any of these reps during practice, when they become, right, oh man, I'm losing this, or you start with some negative self-talk, we're losing this period. What it has to be is, what did I do here? What do I need to do better? Again, Paul here should probably punch this off a little bit earlier. Right, but again, he's physical at the end, create some separation, we're going to win the rep. We're also going to learn from it, right? So sometimes that or can be an and, but we're always going to talk about, all right, what can I do better here? Good rep, what can I do better? Bad rep, why was it bad? What can I do next time? Right, there's only two outcomes. That's why we're out here at practice, to correct, right, mistakes and learn from them and then leave them where they were. Again, same thing here. We go single, slip, punch off. Right, a really good rep, but I'd like to see Landon here again shoot his hands, push his eyes through the ball, get that football off your chest. So a lot of good in the beginning, something to work on at the end. Right, let's learn from it. Let's move on. Every day when we go out there, let's approach these mistakes and use them to make us better. Again, and there's always carryover to the game. Right, I want to be the more physical outfit on the edge. Now we get into critical downs, 4th and 3. Again, we've learned our lesson in terms of we've got to be violent with our upper body. Right, we've got to be the aggressor at the breaking point, right, and it pays off by converting a 4th down. So again, a mistake is not fatal, right, particularly in a one-on-one situation in practice. We're putting you in there to see what you can do, right, to get you better and to use that rep to improve. If it's a good rep, great. If it's a rep you lost, good, we'll learn from it. Like, it's no more complicated than that. Again, similar idea here, right, a one-on-one rep in practice. He motors out. Jalen does a good job here motoring at him. Single jabs, it comes flat. The carryover is, right, we know the escape. There's always an escape. We had a rep in practice or a rep in one-on-ones where we know if he motors, I motor, and now I work back inside. So like I said a little bit earlier, the only value of a mistake is if we learn from it. If we take that lesson, we correct our technique, we use it as something to focus on moving forward. Not, oh my God, I'm not good enough. Again, starting with the negative self-talk, but this is what I need to do to improve, and this is what I'm going to work on. Again, during the course of the game, right, especially in game, we talk a lot about moving from 1 to 2, right, championship level habits. How do we handle what's going on? Right, we've got to move, and I think I took this from Tom Crean, right, from being frustrated to being focused, from being angry to aware, from complaining to being competitive, particularly at our position. Right, there's times as a wide receiver you're not going to get the ball. It's going to lead to these things. If we stay here, if we stay in our ego, rather than moving towards being competitive and in gratitude, right, we're not going to play well. If we can make this transition and almost do it instantly, right, we're going to stay in the fight, where we may not get a ball for the first, the second, or the third quarter, but we may make a play in the 4th quarter to win. Right, and the GIF I show in our meetings, or the GIF, depending on how you pronounce it, is Cam Newton with the head nod and then proceeding, right? I recognize what's happening. I'm on to the next, right? I'm going forward. And because of that, we put the responsibility on us to build the culture in the room. Again, how we act individually, how we interact with each other, and how we react, again, getting from 1 to 2, will determine the culture of our unit, right? And ultimately our football team, right? Because we cannot control, right? We're going to be here at times. We can't control the duration of how long we stay there, right? And if our reaction is good, our interaction with our teammates are good, and our actions are good, we're going to get ourselves to a good place, both individually and as a team. A lot of the stories I'm going to talk about here today that have kind of helped shape my philosophy, both about coaching in general and our approach to practice, are stolen from Nick Saban and Kobe Bryant. You'll hear them a bunch. Again, one of the things Nick Saban talked about was Julio Jones as an NFL vet coming back to Alabama and talking to younger players as they were working out. Hey, that's not how we do it here. We do it a certain way. Again, that's the culture, right? That's the action, the interaction, the reaction. Again, for us, we are going to evaluate everything you do in an honest way when we watch it on tape as a player, right? So what we want to do on Sundays is when we hit play in the meeting room, we want to see our identity, right? When we hit play in practice, right, we want to learn from those mistakes, and the guys that are performing the best will get the best reps. That's the evidence of who you are individually as a player and who we are as an offense and as a team, right? But there's really nothing else for us, that's going to determine who does what. The other thing I tell my guys in here all the time is we have a daily exit meeting, right? So if you're waiting until the end of the season or the end of spring ball to figure out what do I need to work on or why am I at where I'm at on the depth chart, you haven't been paying attention to what we're doing, right? What's being said to you individually, or maybe the guys at your specific position in the room. But every day, right, I'm going to tell you, hey, what you did well, what you did poorly, what you need to work on, both individually and as a group. And if our approach isn't that way, if you're not hearing what I'm saying or you're not watching what we're watching on the film, by the end of the season, right, or the end of spring ball, it's going to be too late. That time's going to be wasted. There's too many good players in here, right, for you not to continually compete and improve every day. So approach everything in here as an exit meeting. Again, stole this from Zach Kazani a long time ago. At times that's going to be uncomfortable. I'm going to tell you the truth about where you're at as a player, but that's going to give you a chance to improve as soon as possible. So we're going to have an honest discussion in here about what's going on every day. Again, it's not going to be something where I'm attacking you, right? I'm going to be constructive, right? It's going to be positive, but it's also going to be very, very honest.